I think immediately we are facing a humanitarian problem. What we've seen almost since 2001, but most dramatically in the last 18 months, is an incredible acceleration in the prices of basic food commodities, rice, wheat, all the building blocks of nutrition that the world needs. And people are finding food less and less affordable. And the problem that many people are facing is that even if food is in the shops or on the stalls of markets, they don't have enough money to buy as much as they could, even as little as 6 months or a year ago.
हमारे इधर आटा क्या इस मुल्क में यहाँ तक कि चावल जो था वो 35 से अब 65 पे चला गया है.
Nous pas qu'à vivre. Papa m'a mis à $30. Nous pas qu'à acheter rien pour nous vivre. Même si nous pas qu'à bailler manger.
People are being forced to make very, very difficult decisions. If you talk about the bottom billion, the people who live on $1 or less a day, they are faced with a situation where they do one of two things essentially. They either buy less food for their family or they buy lower quality food for their family. Both of these have a knock-on effect in terms of the health of themselves and their family members, particularly their young children.
Mahirap naman tipirin ng mga bata sa ngayon. Di bali kaming mga magulang nila hindi pwede kasi mga bata pa yan kailangan pa talaga tamang pagkain.
والله ما عندنا أكل أنت شايفين على وأنت أكش هذا فيش لكن سهل هي كمان فرادة سيتنا.
Well, it was the executive director of the World Food Programme that described it as a perfect storm. We agree with most of the analyses that are out there at the moment that there's four very important elements. Perhaps most important is the huge growth in some of the Asian economies that has increased demand, literally hoovering up what food surpluses were left around the world over the past few years. We're not in an era now where countries are sitting on sort of huge mountains of grain that they don't know what to do with. The food stocks are at an extremely low level, a historically low level in fact. So that's been one aspect. We're also living during a period of relatively high oil prices, and this affects food in a number of ways. It costs more to transport food, it costs more to run agricultural machinery, and generally speaking, agricultural inputs, the fertilizer that improves the yields of food, because fertilizers are made through gas processes, this generally tracks oil prices. So you've got food prices following oil prices to a certain extent. A third factor are adverse weather conditions in various places around the world. This has a knock-on effect. And then the fourth factor is this biofuel phenomenon. We're seeing land that was once used to produce food for human consumption now being set aside to produce food for fuel. And clearly this has an impact because all of these factors taken together starts tightening the overall situation, driving prices up and creating the situation that we find ourselves in today. Already we have seen some serious civil disturbances in a number of countries stretching from the Caribbean to the Middle East to Asia and parts of Africa as well. So there's a very real danger there. I think particularly when you get these problems emerging in urban areas where people are facing frustration. They can see that food's there, but they can't necessarily buy it. They don't have the power to buy it because they don't have the money to deal with these cost increases. And frustration very quickly leads on to these civil disturbances, and it becomes a political problem all of a sudden.
Only God can probably help us around here, but the President cannot do nothing. The Prime Minister cannot do nothing.
This is not just about meals foregone today or about increasing social unrest. It is about lost learning potential for children and adults in the future, stunted intellectual and physical growth. Even more, we estimate that the effects of this food crisis on poverty reduction worldwide is on the order of 7 lost years. So we need to address this not just as an immediate emergency, but also in the medium term for development.
I think clearly that the situation we're facing is almost unprecedented. and is going to demand some very fresh thinking about how the world feeds itself, how the world ensures that food, particularly for the poorest people, does not become affordable. And one of the easiest ways to address this is at the very root, where food is produced, how it's produced. If the expressions of sympathy and the messages that we're getting that governments really appreciate the seriousness of this problem, if all of these come through, then there's a good chance that we will get to where we need, but we're by no means there yet.